Okay, well, thank you all for sticking around. It's an absolute privilege to nominate Victor Finkel for life membership. Victor was born to be a management consultant, so his frequent use of meaningless phrases like performance metrics and synergistic and key performance indicators is evidence of that fact. However, it's another management consulting buzzword, impact, which really sums up why Victor deserves to be a life member of the club. So in his 7 years in MAD, Victor has impacted every facet of the club, from his debating successes, to his remarkable service on club executives, to his impact on the club's culture. The strongest testament, I think, to Victor's impact on MAD is the immense amount of admiration he evokes from pretty much everyone he meets. It's difficult to think of a more well-liked and unifying figure in the club. So I'm going to start off by looking at Victor's debating success. So Victor's debating record is unquestionably impressive. His achievements speak for themselves. Austral's Grand Finalist, Austral's Best Speaker, World's Grand Finalist, World's Best Speaker, and ultimately in his final tournament, World Champion. At his best, Victor is the most eloquent speaker that I can say I've ever seen. I'm sure many others in the club would agree with me. He's someone who can calmly and rationally demolish an argument without ever seeming aggressive or out of control. However, I think it's misleading to suggest that debating success came easily for Victor. He only broke at his first major tournament in his third year at debating, ranking 55th at Australs. It is not until his fourth and fifth years in MAD that he started raking in the Best Speaker prizes that became the norm. The often overlooked reality of Victor's debating success is that he simply worked harder than everyone else, maybe without the Beavis level of intensity. He attended every single matter session run by the club, bringing his trusty notebook along to take notes. He organised countless practice debates, coffees with old hacks to debate issues, and even infamously a matter camp at his beach house in Portsea to plan for a debating tournament. Victor never took his natural talent for granted, which is why it was only a matter of time before he won the recognition that he deserved. However, Victor's debating success is about a lot more than the prizes that he won. Victor is the perfect role model for new debaters because he always debated in the right spirit. He would never dream of criticising a teammate for a bad speech. He would always seek feedback from his adjudicators, even if a contentious decision went against him. Despite a remarkably well-developed ego, he would always go out of his way to share the credit for his individual speaker prizes with his teammates. Victor exemplifies what it means to be a good teammate, which is why, for me, it is an absolute pleasure to debate 4 Australs with him. The legendary MAD life member Martin Sorensen, who sadly passed away in 1993, was famous for taking a personal interest in helping everyone in the club improve their debating, irrespective of how talented they were. Victor embodies the Martin Sorensen spirit. He was a superb team leader at Easters who took an almost paternal interest in helping his teammates improve, as I'm sure that Lester, Jackie, Ali and Mel can testify. While he was justifiably mocked for his excessively long adjudications on MAD training nights, Victor's passion for coaching always spurred him to go above and beyond what he needed to do to build up the confidence of younger members of the club. He even created a secret database to ensure that youngest members of the club were receiving the training and debating opportunities they needed to improve. And all of you are on that database. Victor always cared about more than his own personal success. He cared about Monash doing well. So moving to his club service, Victor's remarkable record of club service is a reflection of his dedication to MAD. After taking on the difficult role of schools training in 2006, Victor was elected MAD president in only his third year at the club, which is an amazing achievement. His exceptional leadership qualities quickly shone through. Under Victor's tenure as president, MAD sent its largest Easters and Worlds contingents in club history, hosted the Australian Women's Debating Championships, and organised an extremely successful public debate. Victor returned to the executive last year and introduced a comprehensive streamed training program, which has immeasurably improved our member training program. And he also introduced a public speaking program for ESL speakers. However, in my opinion, Victor's most memorable committee achievement was his role as convener of Monash Australs 2009. MAD had last hosted Australs in 2000, and Victor had to overcome serious doubts within the club about whether we'd be able to be capable of hosting an event of this size. His tireless work and resilience in the face of major setbacks, such as losing the bid for the 2008 tournament, was critical to ensuring that the tournament went ahead. Without Victor's drive, vision and tenacity, there is no way that Monash Australs would have been the success it was. And Victor's exceptional leadership skills, his ability to respond calmly to setbacks such as the swine flu epidemic and the global financial crisis crushing our sponsorship budget, inspired every member of the committee to work hard. Victor is, without doubt, the most exceptional person I have ever served with on a committee. His McKinsey brain never fails to impress, but I think it's Victor's personal qualities that really make him stand out. A natural consensus builder, Victor has a remarkable capacity to manage conflict and maintain strong personal relationships with everyone he works with, which is pretty bloody difficult on a MAD executive. He always cared about what was best for MAD, even if it didn't serve his own personal interest. As a club leader and executive member, his contribution to the club has been immense. To conclude, Victor has also made a remarkable contribution to MAD's culture. From his vigorous, pant-tearing dance moves, to his ambiguous sexual orientation, to his increasingly prominent bald spot, I suspect that Victor will be at the heart of the fondest memories of many of us in MAD when we leave the club. Life membership seems appropriate, because I suspect that MAD will always be a central part of Victor's life. It is a pleasure to commend his name for life membership.
I'd like to thank Kieran for his excellent contribution and invite Gemma to second the motion.
You're rolling, Stephen?
It's happening.
I can't add a lot on top of the substantive things that Kieran said, but I wanted to do something which I hope will set the scene for the way people think about Victor and remember Victor. And that's to talk a little bit about what it felt like to watch Victor win a World's Grand Final and to watch Victor finally get the Speaker Prize that he deserved and finally get the recognition he deserved. So, obviously, a lot of people will know the history of MAD in World's Grand Finals, and drawing opening government was the beginning of a tough journey for both Victor and Fiona to winning the World Championships. They drew opening government, luckily enough, on a topic which they'd previously done. That was a struggle. We were all very, very hesitant about suggesting that they would win because we knew that from opening government it was always going to be tough. When they announced that Victor and Fiona had won the championships, not only did the entirety of MAD huddle in together, people were crushed, people were crying, people were screaming, but the rest of the room, full of people who came from institutions who were represented in that grand final and institutions who presumably had nothing to do with Monash and had never even seen a Monash speaker before, were so supportive. It was outrageous. On the walk up to the stage, there were foreign women of various nationalities in tears, crying over the success that Victor had achieved. And I'm not talking about like a little tear, I'm talking about sobbing, snotty foreign women who I'd never seen before, and I'm not sure that Victor had either. Those people, I think, are testament to the type of person that Victor is. And from a personal perspective, I think that watching Victor be crowned the best speaker in the world was the best moment that I've ever had in the club. It was the moment that I felt most joyous about, and I think that's true of every single person that attended Worlds. I think it's quite fitting that was the last tournament Victor did, and he'll always be remembered as the most excellent speaker in the world, dominating everything in that year. But I wanted to talk a little bit about some other reasons why I think we should give Victor life membership. I was told previous to today that Kieran was going to do the funny and I was going to do the serious, so I had to work on my feet and I've come up with some lols. So, number one reason to give Victor life membership. His father runs the university. I'm not sure if everyone in the room is aware of this. Victor's father is the Chancellor of the university, so I think this is a good way, particularly in MAD's financial state, to get the university on side. So, number one reason. Secondly, we will most likely require Victor's credit card to bail us out in the next 12 months. Again, most people won't know that for Australs, Victor expended a substantial amount of personal money onto a deposit for the tournament accommodation, which he doesn't like people to talk about, but I can guarantee it was in the multiple tens of thousands of dollars that came directly out of the Finkel account to fund the club once again. And that's happened on a plethora of occasions, which are not generally talked about because obviously Victor blushes too much, but I think it's important to note that down now. And the third main reason, I think, why we should give Victor life membership is because he will likely kill himself if we do not. Victor cares about this club as much as anyone ever has. he, no doubt, in 10 years' time, will be the person that Tim Sonrak is now. He will go onto the website and watch Kieran and My Matter training sessions for no apparent reason. He will submit articles to Silver Tongue, even though he's presumably been employed full-time for the past decade. That's the type of person that Victor is. As Kieran said, there are 3 pillars on which we decide who gets life membership. And I think the biggest credit to Victor is it's not clear which one is his strongest. It's not clear what the overarching reason is why we would give Victor life membership, because I think he's one of the few people that's ever been nominated and presumably, hopefully, awarded life membership, where debating success for him is probably equal in its greatness to the contribution that he's made to the club administratively and to the culture of the club. So I wanted to add a few additional things to those categories, if I may. In regards to debating, Kieran's already spoken about the fact that Victor dominated almost every competition. But what I wanted to talk about in regards to debating was the competitions that Victor didn't win, and competitions where Victor didn't necessarily do that well. And those, broadly speaking, were competitions like Easters, where Victor would break and then not necessarily go too far, things like ANU Mini and other smaller competitions. And I think this feeds quite a lot into the type of culture that Victor's left in the club, which is to try and develop new speakers and look out for the future of the club. Victor was quite classic, and everybody remembers that Victor, for quite a long period of time, broke at every single tournament he went to, no matter who was in the team. It didn't matter how bad they were or how good they were, it just made no difference, because Victor is that good at not only actually debating with people who aren't necessarily as good as him, but teaching those people and making those people substantially better than when they started. Personally, for me, the first tournament that I ever won, if you can call it that, was the Martin Sorensen competition in 2008, where Victor took a chance on me. I was an awful debater then. Funnily enough, I'm substantially better now. And I think that that's testament to the type of person that Victor is and the culture that he's left behind. Obviously, Kieran already referenced the secretive lists of people, which have only been seen a few times and very rarely, which charted people's attendance at social events and exactly who they debated with their entire time in the club. I think only Victor is A, that weird, and B, that intent on making sure that everybody gets opportunities. The third thing that I wanted to talk about a little bit in regards to administration was just to say that Victor continues to be an ongoing, important part of this club, and I think that's what life membership means to me. Because whilst, we do now call on Tim Sonrak occasionally to do training, Victor will be that person for this club for a very, very long time. For example, every time I send an email, every time I'm trying to write a prospectus or do anything that requires, actual English, which obviously is something that I struggle with on a day-to-day basis, that gets BCC'd to Victor. I always send things through Victor, and I think that's true of almost every single executive member. Victor's still engaged in decisions about the club because people respect his opinion, and I think they always will. So in conclusion, I think it's really, really important that we recognise Victor as a life member. For me, he's the most obvious pick of anyone that there's ever been in the club, and I am very, very proud to second the motion to make Victor a life member.
Would anyone else like to speak to the motion? Okay, without any further ado, the motion is that Victor Finkel be made a life member of the Monash Association of Debaters. All those in favour?
Is it Victor life member?
Yeah.
Good timing.
All those against? Any abstentions?
Oh, me. Victor life membership.
Let it be noted that Nicole Franklin abstained. Okay, elected unanimously without any dissent or abstentions. Congratulations, there was raucous applause. Not raucous enough.